Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video for today. So you've probably seen already the live stream that we had, Tanner, Amit, Jose, and myself. But if you don't want to watch 3 hours of a live stream, that's completely normal. So here's a quick recap of Nvidia's quarter and an explanation as to why the stock is down 3% or so at the time of making this video. Of course, if you're watching it tomorrow when the market is open, it can be down more or it can actually recover. I do think that right now the market is looking for maybe reasons to pull stuff like Nvidia and other AI names down, but it's also very important to note that if we look at the year-to-date performance, we're still crushing it. If we look at the 3 months performance, we're also still crushing it. Small reminder here that Nvidia is a company worth more than $4 trillion, growing extremely rapidly still. Top and bottom lines, insane margins as well. Yes, valuation today is more expensive than where it was 3 months ago, but a forward P of 36 times for a company like this, I don't think it's extremely overvalued. Is it expensive compared to, let's say, the norm? Yeah, maybe, but this is not a normal company. So without me completely rambling about some pricing metrics here, let's actually have a look at the recent results. If you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons, would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/gotchainvestor. Thank you very much. So, of course, this was a beat across the board. They even beat revenue guidance for Q3 by around 2.5%. They do expect it to come at $54 billion, and that's excluding any H20 sales to China. We are going to talk about the China business in a bit, but these were the numbers for the quarter. Revenue came in at $46.7 billion, up 6% quarter over quarter, and still growing 56% year over year. Gross margin also recovered quarter over quarter. If you look at operating income, net income still growing very, very quickly quarter over quarter and year over year. And of course, here you can see the trend. Right? It's quite crazy when you think about it. If we go all the way back to Q3 fiscal year 2024, data center was generating $14.5 billion, gaming $2.8. Today, data center generates over $41 billion every quarter and increasing, gaming $4.2 billion. And so we're looking here at data center growing 56% year over year. Compute side is down 1% quarter over quarter. There is an explanation for that as well. But networking is up 46% quarter over quarter, 98% year over year. Gaming, of course, performing extremely well as well. We've seen that with AMD, so I'm not surprised that we're seeing it here with Nvidia. So the trend here is quite clear. For data center, an explosion in growth. And of course, the growth rates are coming down, right? But it's still, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 quarters now where Nvidia is growing data center revenue above 50%. Of course, previously it was above 70%, but now 10 quarters above 50% growth. Yes, of course, growth rates, year-over-year growth rates are going to come down. But if you're generating $41 billion just from data center each and every quarter, and that's growing 56% year-over-year, then yeah, okay. Deceleration in growth rates makes some sense, right? And it's not like it's suddenly growing 10%. No, we'll still be growing quite rapidly for the upcoming quarters. As for the rest of the business, that's also growing nicely, I'd say. It's not showing data center type growth, although gaming did increase 49% year over year. We did see a nice reacceleration in growth there. Now, they did give us a little bit more of information with regards to the data center business. So the strong year-on-year and sequential growth was driven by demand for accelerated computing platform used for large language models, recommendation engines, and generative and agentic AI applications. We continue to ramp our Blackwell architecture, which grew 17% sequentially, including our newest architecture, Blackwell Ultra. We recognize Blackwell revenue across all customer categories led by large cloud service providers, which represented approximately 50% of data center revenue. They also talked a little bit about the capex of $600 billion and how that could grow to $3 to $4 trillion by 2030. But the $600 billion number I did not quite understand if they really meant just the hyperscalers, because sometimes it said the cloud service providers, the big ones, and enterprises. And then sometimes it just said the big four, so that was quite confusing, but okay. Data center compute revenue was $33.8 billion, up 50% from a year ago, but sequentially that was down, and that's driven by a $4 billion reduction in H20 sales. They also saw some strong growth in Spectrum X. So Nvidia Spectrum X Ethernet solutions are experiencing double-digit sequential and year-over-year growth. The annualized revenue for Spectrum X has surpassed $10 billion, and that's a business that didn't really exist, I think, 3 years ago. As for the China business, so as of today, Nvidia has not shipped any H20 chips to China, despite some China-based customers receiving licenses from the United States government. As for Q3, that does not include any revenue from H20 shipments to China due to the ongoing geopolitical issues. However, the company noted that if these issues were to resolve, they could ship between $2 to $5 billion in H20 revenues in Q3, with the potential for more if additional orders are received. So of course, that $54 billion can suddenly be $56 or $59 billion. There are reports that a condition for these export licenses may be that Nvidia remits 15% of the revenue from H20 sales to the US government, though this has not been codified in regulation. So TBD on that part. Now, this is something that also before the earnings call started, I predicted he was going to say something about that $50 billion opportunity. And so China is estimated to be a $50 billion opportunity for Nvidia this year and is projected to grow at a rate of 50% per year. And I mean, we've talked about that during the live streams, especially the last 2 days. There were reports out of China talking about their AI growth plans. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised to see that growth rate of 50% here. And of course, that would be great if the likes of Nvidia and AMD can sell their chips again in China, because that's quite a lot of money and you do want to have US tech leading the way. They did also talk a little bit about the Singapore aspect here. So Singapore's revenue represented 22% of billed revenue in Q2, as many customers have centralized their invoicing there. It's important to know that over 99% of this Singapore revenue was for US-based customers. So not the, chips going to Singapore are going to China. And so on the China part, again, I think the market is still waiting to see what the heck's going on. And I think that also weighs on the stock right now. We're looking here, like it says here, for the new Blackwell architecture for sale in China, B30, B30A. Remains to be seen what happens there. I don't see how they will not get their license. I think it's all based on negotiations and sweetening of deals and stuff like that. Although I would love it if some of the Lutniks out there stopped teasing the Chinese government, because we've had great news that Nvidia and AMD got their licenses for the MI308s and the H20s, but then they're like teasing the trade, like they need our chips. They cannot do anything without our chips. Well, China is investing quite a lot in AI. Huawei is a big player, not as big as Nvidia, but if give them a couple of years, and I do think that Huawei is going to be quite a competitive player in the future. So hopefully all of this does get resolved by, in the next 3 months. So when we're reviewing the next quarterly results, because this is a big deal. It's a lot of money that could be just left on the table. On the flip side, of course, we talk about China, but there is, of course, Saudi Arabia, UAE, other countries as well. I do believe that they said that sovereign is at already $20 billion or so for the year, and that's up 100% from a year ago. So there's definitely other places where they can, of course, sell their chips, and would be surprised if they're not selling everything that they can sell. And so right now, the stock is at $176. Maybe tomorrow when the market opens, it will drop a little bit lower. Who knows? But big deal, right? The stock is back to prices not seen since what? A week ago? A couple of days ago? So what, right? Over the last 3 months, this company has added over $1 trillion in market cap. So, this is not the end of the AI story. I've already seen some weird tweets out there like, oh, look at this is the end of the AI rate. No, it's not. It's not. It's quite far from it, right? We still have to go through this whole physical AI hockey stick type of move. There still is quite a lot of infrastructure build out going on. Remember, we're only 2 years in. Let's call it 2.5 years in. If you think that after 2.5 years we're done, then you are not paying attention. But of course, with every story, there are going to be some skeptics out there. And of course, if you don't believe Jensen, if you don't believe the AI story, if you don't believe Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, Elon Musk, Lisa Su, etc., then yes, then maybe you should not be buying these types of companies. Maybe you should be buying Home Depot or whatever. Could definitely be the play. But right now, I don't see the story changing anytime soon. And so with that said, tomorrow, yes, tomorrow might be a red day for the market. Does seem like the market is looking for ways to pull things down. So yeah, tomorrow we might see the market go down a little bit, although I would be very surprised if we're not going to see some price target upgrades for Nvidia, which we're going to cover during the morning stream. So stay tuned for that. Make sure notification bells are on so you don't miss that. 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. See you there and hit all the buttons. Bye bye.